Hello, everyone, and welcome back. As always, I'm your girl, Candy Washington. So, before we dive into today's episode, which is Kyle Richards ready to finally file for divorce from Mauricio Umansky, or is she going to keep playing in our faces all of season 14? You be the judge, but I think we already know the answer to that question. So, before we dive in, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. So, this is according to E! News. It is their exclusive scoop. It says Kyle Richards and Mauricio Umansky are redefining what it means to be finally exes. In fact, nearly a year and a half after breaking up, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills stars have no plans to officially file for divorce anytime soon. Now, am I surprised by this? Absolutely not. I still think that they will get back together. That has been my prediction from day one. I don't know how long it will take, but I think that they will eventually find their way back to each other. Also, I think it's almost cheaper to keep them. Their entire livelihood, their brand, their businesses, their real estate, all of it is tied into being a couple. And I know that they're separated, I know that they're estranged. Number one, it's good storyline for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills as long as she starts to come clean about it, which I do think that she will be put to task this season, talking about her marriage, talking about her divorce, talking about her sexuality, talking about his cheating allegations, her cheating allegations with Morgan, getting everything out on the open. I think it's going to make for a really good story because unlike past seasons, I don't think she's going to get a pass this time. I think she's going to have to really be called to the carpet. So I'm looking forward to that. Not in a malicious way, but in this is a reality show. This is for our entertainment. So as long as it doesn't get too dark or too malicious, I'm here for it. I'm definitely here for it. It's part of the game. It's part of the show. So I think there's that. And I also think that there's no prenup. So I think that people file for divorce when one person actually wants to get remarried. I don't think that Kyle necessarily wants to get remarried. I don't think Mauricio wants to get remarried. I think he wants to have his girlfriends and do him and dip it and do it. Doesn't mean he wants to get remarried anytime soon. So from a financial standpoint, financially, it makes more sense for them to stay legally married, do whatever they want to do in their own lives, and work out their money and their finances and their properties on their own terms rather than trying to split everything up, divide everything up in a messy divorce that doesn't have a prenup. Okay? We just haven't felt the rush to do that, Kyle exclusively told E! News. I think it's been more of a psychological thing for us and for our family. We've been getting along and there was no pressure from either side that we needed to do that. Again, finances play a part, property plays a part. Also, don't forget, I think that Mauricio and the agency has hella lawsuits always going on. So I think until they figure out what's going on with all of the lawsuits, them being estranged could also be cover for the lawsuits. Sort of like Erica Jane Girardi and Tom Girardi. Oh, we're divorcing, he blah, blah, blah. That was all cover to give her protection, alleged protection. We'll see. Hopefully the FBI steps in and arrests her and calls her to task. But cover about the lawsuits so that she can have, cover from all of that stuff. We'll see. We'll see. All right. As for Kyle's response to her co-star Sutton Stracke urging her to legally split from the real estate mogul in the Bravo series' recently released season 14 trailer, the women were giving me advice based on their experiences and their life and sort of projecting, which I understand the Halloween Ends actress recounted. I think they were coming from a good place, but I also feel like every marriage, every separation is different. I have a very unique situation, so I wasn't really listening to their advice. Now, in this situation, I actually agree with Kyle because I do think that people tend to, and again, this is with the best intentions, they're not doing it in a mean or malicious way. But people tend to give advice from their lived experience, from their perspective, from their situation. And they can sometimes project that onto you, which is why it's good to get an objective opinion, like from a therapist or from a lawyer, somebody who isn't so connected to you. Whereas sometimes your friend or your family member, they mean well, but they're so enmeshed in their relationship to you and to your personal relationship and then their situation that it's more difficult to give a objective advice to someone. Because to be honest with you, if I'm Kyle's friend or whatever, I'm going to tell her not to get divorced. I'm going to tell her to write it out, see what happens with Mauricio and his girlfriend, see what happens with her exploring her evolving sexuality allegedly, see what happens with all that, see what happens with legal stuff, see how everything shakes out. Because I think Kyle does not actually want to divorce Mauricio. I think Kyle wants her husband back. I think she wants her marriage back. I think she was really going through it. I'm not a big Kyle fan, but I do have empathy and compassion for people when they're going through crisis. And I think that Kyle was going through a crisis. Her best friend passed away. Mauricio wasn't there emotionally. She was having a lot going on with her family, her sisters, whatever the case may be. I'm not her biggest fan, but I still have compassion for human beings. And I think that Kyle had a lot going on in her life, midlife crisis, whatever the case may be. So I don't think that she actually wants to divorce Mauricio. I think she wanted his attention. I think she wanted him to prioritize her. I think she wanted him to fight for her. And I think that he just chose not to. And that's very hurtful. But I don't think that she actually ever fell out of love with him. I think she wanted him to fight for her. So she was rebelling and doing everything to get his attention, and it kind of backfired. Yeah, but I still think, and I've said this before, I think they're going to get back together. I don't think they'll ever divorce. And I do think eventually down the line, they will find their way back to themselves. So if I was Kyle's friend, I would actually tell her, don't file for divorce, ride this out. So that's why I agree with what Kyle is saying about Sutton's advice, saying you need to file for a divorce, you need to go ahead and make it legal. Sutton is speaking from her lived experience. What happened with her and her ex-husband? When her ex-husband, I think he was probably allegedly out there cheating. He said he didn't want the marriage. Sutton wanted to still see if they could make it work. And then he goes and says, you need to get yourself a lawyer. And then boom, 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 they're divorced. She's getting all this money from the divorce. But again, just because you're getting a lot of money doesn't mean that you're happy, doesn't mean that you're fulfilled, doesn't mean that the divorce or the separation or the betrayal doesn't hurt you. Money can't fill those emotional and mental and spiritual wounds that you have from someone that you love and want to be with no longer loving you and wanting to be with you. I don't care how much money you have. That's extremely hurtful and traumatic. And I think that Sutton is speaking from her own trauma and her own hurt. And I think she has the best intentions by telling Kyle that. But again, she's speaking from her own experience, not actually speaking from Kyle's experience. So I actually agree with Kyle on that one. And I'm also happy that Kyle is acknowledging that Sutton's coming from a good place. She's not trying to be like, oh, Sutton's a hater. She's jealous. She's this, she's that. She's a bad friend. Because I don't think any of that's true. Again, I think she's coming from a good place. She's coming from her lived experience. But that doesn't mean that is the correct advice for Kyle's particular situation. Okay. And after being married for nearly 3 decades, Kyle revealed her and Mauricio's daughters are totally ready for their parents to start dating again. They very much want me to move on and be happy, Kyle shared. If that's moving on, then they want me to move on. They don't want me just sitting at home. I have their blessing, and I'm very grateful for that. Okay, girl. Kyle echoed these sentiments during the November 11th E! News appearance and reiterated she and Mauricio remain on great terms despite their split. We are the best of friends. We love each other and we want the best for each other. We co-parent together, she exclusively told co-host Justin Sylvester. I ask for advice with investment properties. I call him and I ask him, what should I do? What do you think? We don't live together. We're allowed to do whatever we want, she added, but we don't want the rest of our life to change. We're just okay the way things have been. Exactly. Like I said, she still calls him for investment properties, ask him his questions. What do you think? Because at the end of the day, regardless of the living together part or dating other people part, I think the biggest reason why they're not rushing to divorce is the financial aspect of it. The money, the brands, the properties, the businesses, the no prenup. I think that is the core reason why they're not getting divorced. Secondary to that, I think that Kyle wants Mauricio back. I don't care what she's out here saying. I think she wants him back. I think he will eventually come back, but he's going to milk it for all it's worth. And by milk it, I mean he's going to dip it and do it with all the 20-year-olds and the 30-year-olds until the freaking cows come home. He's going to just sow his wild oats for as long as he can. And when he gets tired of that, he's going to go back to Kyle. That's my prediction. But as always, I want to know what you guys think about this. Do you think Kyle and Mauricio will ever get divorced? Does it actually matter? We do know that Mauricio filmed quite a bit for season 14. As we know, Buying Beverly Hills did get canceled on Netflix. So he has some time on his hands to come back to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So we'll be seeing their relationship unfold and what may be. Also, are you excited for, season 14 of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? I know I am. I am so looking forward to it. So put down your questions, your comments, and your predictions. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. It is a free and easy way to support the channel. And I love you guys. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.